God bless you, and thank you for joining us. I'm Minister Billy Burton, and welcome to Sunday School Insights. This audio teaching series is an evangelistic tool brought to you by Inspirational Minutes Ministries International, Advocatus Ecclesiae Publishing, and Ministry Outpost. We hope and pray that these lessons will reach those who, for whatever the reason, either can't or won't come to a Bible study, a Sunday school class, or a traditional church service. Subscribe to our channel here on YouTube and then follow us on Facebook, where you can read your Bible lessons faithfully each week. Our Facebook link is conveniently posted below. Our background music, Worlds Away, is provided by the artistic genius of J Man at www.ourmusicbox.com. Again, we thank you for joining us, and Sunday School Insights begins now. Today's lesson is entitled Abram's First Son. Our scriptures are found in the book of Genesis, chapter 16, verses 1 through 11, and verses 15 and 16. Abram's first son, Ishmael, was not conceived by his wife Sarai, but he was conceived as a result of Sarai deciding that she would help God out with what he promised Abram. God is very capable of fulfilling his own promises and doesn't need our suggestions or opinions. So, was this act of Abram's wife disobedience or disrespect towards the Lord? She never said that she heard from the Lord on this matter, and that God had instructed her to give her husband, the handmaid, as a surrogate. Neither Abram nor Hagar were forced into bed either, yet both willingly went along with this misguided plan. None of this took God by surprise. Yet, God could have stopped this if he wanted to. God doesn't control every decision that we make, and because he gave us free will, we must take responsibility for our own actions, and as painful as it can be, learn from the consequences. Sarai had no clue that Hagar would start looking down on her once Hagar became pregnant. And Abram could not have imagined the nightmare of two women in the same household who both thought that they were now in commanding or demanding positions. God blesses in spite of our mess. Our input and small-minded selfish decisions will never stop God's covenant plans. Often we become impatient with God. Saying it out loud sounds pretty arrogant, doesn't it? Sometimes we convince ourselves that God has forgotten what he said to us in a promise, or that he's waiting on us to do it for him. This is a big mistake. For Abram and his wife, it had been more than 10 years, and their patience with God had worn pretty thin. It wasn't like he was giving them regular updates or keeping them in the loop. Or was he? Sometimes God does send us confirmation reminders to encourage us, but we're all guilty of not listening. And if it isn't the finished package, it just isn't good enough, and we despise the small clues. When we begin to panic, we go deeper into our own thoughts and imaginations, and we find ourselves justifying things and making what's acceptable in our culture acceptable to God. But God doesn't just accept what we tell him to. Did Abram agree to his wife's plan to lighten the load of embarrassment on her for being childless? We'll never know. We ask that you follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Come back and join us here again next week, God willing, for another lesson of Sunday School Insights. Our background music, You On My Mind, was composed and performed by J Man at www.ourmusicbox.com. God bless you.